Ah, this is one of those moments that make it all worth it, viewer. One of the 3 basic pleasures of life. The first wank on a delicate spring morning, finally killing the last witness, and playing a new game that I actually like. Not just like, one that took me completely by surprise and genuinely excited me with an originality and freshness that has long since faded from spring morning wanks. I bought Return of the Obra Dinn on Steam while casting a broad net for indie games to review, and because it looked nautical themed, and I've recently been rereading my Horatio Hornblower books. So imagine my delight to see on the title screen that it was developed by Lucas Pope, the dude who made Papers, Please. Just goes to show that having a proven auteur creative in charge with the balls to stick his name on the front is still a far more effective marketing tactic than just, say, a picture of a dirty man holding a gun in an irresponsible manner. Imagine my further delight when the game completely drew me in like a lonely sarlacc. Lucas Pope seems to have a talent for coming up with unconventional new core gameplay loops that turn a cold, bureaucratic process like filling out paperwork into something surprisingly engaging, and then underhandedly tells an interesting story through that loop without interrupting it. First, I should say that Return of the Obra Dinn isn't for everyone. Wow, that's a fucking useless sentence, isn't it? Nothing's for everyone, except maybe Oxygen and Pixar films. But speaking personally, Return of the Obra Dinn almost felt like a game that was specifically made for me, as someone who likes crossword puzzles, Horatio Hornblower books, and people being killed. The premise is you are an insurance investigator. Whoa, slow the fuck down, Lucas Pope. This roller coaster's off to a hot start. And you come aboard a hitherto thought lost ship that drifted into English waters with its entire crew apparently suffering from a bad case of not there. After determining to your satisfaction that they aren't all waiting below decks preparing a surprise party, you acquire a sketch of each crew member and a list of names, and your task is simply to assign the correct name to each sketch as well as how they died. And the only tool you have to hand is a magic pocket watch that allows you to relive the last few seconds of a dead person's life and enter and walk around the precise moment in which they expired. Yeah, I guess that is a pretty big only. I mentioned in the Unavowed review that I appreciate a game that makes me feel clever because God knows precious little does since the stroke, and that's exactly what Obra Dinn does, for you see, most people when seconds from death aren't courteous enough to say things like, "Oh no, I, Third Officer Eric Braithwaite, am soon to die, but at least I'm in the company of my friends Bob and Hercules, cough, cough, splatter, splatter." Most of the crew will have to be identified through keen deduction from scraps of clues and processes of elimination, and that's where I felt clever. It was thanks to having read Horatio Hornblower books that I was able to recognise a midshipman when I saw one. A degree of general knowledge is required to identify people's nationalities, or what a top man does as opposed to a seaman. If it helps, top men are generally concerned with the rigging and what goes on above decks, whereas seamen is a white liquid that comes out of your penis when you think about Jenny Agutter too much. Often you just have to take an educated guess, like when you have to decide which of the 2 female passengers looks the most virginal. The game confirms your correctly deduced profiles in groups of 3, which strikes probably the ideal balance between allowing for some guesswork and not letting you cheese everything by plugging in one name after another like you're reading off the school register. Having said that, you're probably going to have to cheese it when it comes to the 4 identical Chinese top men. I have it on good authority that there is some method of telling them apart, but whatever it is, I doubt it's easier than randomly swapping their names around until you get a hit, like you're fussing over seating arrangements with a very indecisive bride. And through the process of filling out the death certificates, we gradually piece together the story of what happened to the ship. It's a fairly incomplete story since there wasn't someone dying at every single moment. I know, how inconsiderate of the doomed fuckers, so don't expect to be held by the hand through it, but what I could glean from suggestion and the occasional massive, angry, betentacled overstatement certainly made me intrigued enough to want to keep pushing through and learning more. Now, I have a soft spot for the solo auteur indie developer. It's exactly what I'd be doing if I didn't have all these reviews to make and novels to write and crime scenes to scrub. And obviously a solo developer has a lot of limitations. Don't expect a high-definition rendering of an 18th century sailing ship with environment mapping on every splinter-filled todger. But Lucas Pope embraces those limitations. How convenient that the format of exploring single frozen moments in time means that he didn't have to do any character animation. A full 3D game by one guy is obviously going to look like sautéed buttock, so why not push it to a point of maximum buttock and somehow come back around to looking good? And that's why all the graphics are rendered using only pixels of 2 colours, like an antique monitor. You might find it a bit harsh on the old eye if you're not a fan of dithering, but try to think of it as part of the challenge, trying to discern faces and firing lines through an indistinct haze of poorly pigmented pixel pillory. I find the combination of a historical setting and retro PC graphics conjures a nostalgic memory of playing shit like Oregon Trail on the school computer, where you were supposed to be learning something but were just naming party members after that one smelly girl in class and laughing when she caught dysentery. I do have complaints. I kinda completely despise the music. Yeah, I know, solo developed, don't expect the Tokyo Philharmonic, but that doesn't excuse the way it loudly and repetitively blops away while you're trying to think. And of course there's no separate volume controls. Relatedly, I also don't like how the game forces us to wander around each memory, getting unskippably blarped at for a minute before the event gets officially unlocked and we can start taking notes. It's weird that the music's so annoying when the rest of the sound design is fucking top notch. Voice acting, ambient sound, and especially the little radio plays that accompany the death flashbacks. I couldn't say for sure if it accurately reproduces the sound of a bloke getting torn in half by a giant calamari platter, but it certainly made me cross my legs uncomfortably. If I have sold you on Return of the Cobra Commander, then consider this advice before you play. Try to fucking savor it. Like, play it for just 1 hour a night or something, because after I finished it, I felt the sudden melancholic realization that I could only experience it for the first time once. Tragically, the nature of the deductive gameplay means it has virtually no replay value, but fuck it, why give up so easily? You can achieve some wonderful things with head injuries, as my nursery school teacher used to say.
You were possessed by some kind of demon. It made you do things.
One year has passed since your possession. You were wanted by the police for many violent crimes. But we can help. We can give you a new identity, a new life, a new purpose. Welcome to the Unavowed, my friend. Trust me, your life will never be the same.
Magic is real. You know this, and you're part of it now.
You were clearly meant for this life. It requires difficult choices, as you are no doubt discovering.
Supernatural threats have risen. Exponentially. It's been difficult to contain.
Monsters working out in the open never leads to anything good. People will fight back, one way or another. And innocents have to pay the price, every time.
You want to prove yourself to the Unavowed? Now is your chance.
Good evening, I'm Jeremy Donaldson. Our main stories tonight. But first, the votes are in and it's a decisive win for Advance.
What do you make of this historic election result?
So perhaps we should all be celebrating.
Except for the rich.
I mean, a lawyer and a TV personality running the country. Seriously?
We've had worse.
What does the future look like to you?
A bleak space where we've all been figuratively sodomized into submission. Let's have a go with this whole democracy thing.
Okay.
And here we valley well are.
Good stuff.
Brilliant!
So,
A mysterious symbol has appeared overnight. Could this be the daring first move of a silent resistance movement?
Yeah, a government, a bond, Peter Clement.
There are some pissants who just don't know how to be.
And an attempt was made to censor some of your notes.
What? Are you joking?
We're only getting started.
No disrupt. No resistance. Oh, Alex, you're going to get me in trouble with that.
Your channel is a f***ing disgrace.
I'm sorry, it's very hot. But before we all hand off our freedoms, should we ask them who we're handing them over?
please, we can't show this. Cut to the ads.
Give us a hug.
If you fire a single shot, initial estimates put the death toll into the millions. Mr. Blundercatch, I understand you're upset, but we can...
Jesus!
Good job, everybody! Well, if that doesn't distract you from the world outside, I don't know what will.
That's all coming up on tonight's
National Nightly News.
What's in this cave down here?
NFS tells people not to go too far in there. It's pretty dangerous. You're in it, aren't you?
It doesn't seem that dangerous. Whoa, whoa! Ah, no!
Henry!
Seriously, it's completely fine in here.
Damn it. That storm knocked out the phone line I used to talk to the service, which means we're cut off.
I'll see what I can do.
You think you'll take to it? Being out here? The isolation gets to people. I don't talk to the other lookouts as much as I talk to you. Not in the same way.
What makes me so special?
2 young women have been reported missing. You're probably the last person to have seen them.
Hey, you kids! Somebody cut the comms.
What?
I'm out here and the wire is cut clean through.
Wait, you're already there? You're not in your tower?
No, I'm not.
Then who is?
Will you keep helping me? I need you. Earlier tonight, Hayden's apartment was assaulted by some persons unknown to me. He seemed frightened, terrified even, and instructed me to escape. Based on the combined deductions of personal profile, directness of connection to Hayden, occupational skill, and probable motive, you were the candidate most likely to both be able and willing to help me.
Hayden's missing? Well, that's one way to sour my night. I already saw you got his little ROM with you, so I'll give you the benefit of the doubt for now.
Right. What do you need us to do?
We need some assistance with some illicit activity that, statistically, individuals in your age bracket are likely to have experience with.
Oh! So this is one of those things where you need a streetwise kid to show you the ropes.
You know, you're a bit chattier than most ROMs. I guess it makes sense that Parallax employees get the shiniest new toys, huh?
So if you want my help, you gotta do something for me. If you got a problem with that, tough. My neighborhood, my help, my rules.
You clearly already know how to safely scope a battlefield, how to avoid detection by enemies, how and when to escalate to combat, you know, and everything else.
It sounds like it's going to be up to us.
Yeah, so stop messing around.
This is why I don't talk to journalists. They all want to pry into my life.
There's certainly a story here, but if you keep botching your moves, you'll blow it. I'd really rather you not be involved at all, but I know that isn't going to happen at this point.